guys, I'm just going to have a little chat to you in relation to the construction and the process involved in construction. You'll have, within your build contract, there's each stage of construction. Usually there's 5 stages, so it would be your deposit stage, your base stage, your frame stage, your enclosed stage, and also the final. Sometimes with different builders there is different stages that might be slipped in there, so you might have 6 or 7 stages for the progress. For the deposit, that's usually paid directly to the builder for the likes of your council approval and your builder's insurance. In order to pay an invoice, each bank is different. With Marlette and Brendan, for example, they sign the invoice that's actually given to them. So they print off the invoice that they're sent through, they sign that as per the way they've signed their loan documents and forward it through to me. I then send that on to the lender. Processing timeframes with the lenders do vary, so sometimes if the lenders are really busy, it can be 3 to 7 business days for invoices to be processed. This does sometimes scare clients because the invoice date is a 7-day turnaround for most builders. We go by the actual lender's timeframes. So depending on how long the lenders are taking to actually process the payments will determine when the actual builder's paid, within reason. Once the deposit is paid, the builder should receive the council approval. At this stage they send through the council approval, builder's insurance, public liability insurance and QBCC insurance. This is a requirement for all lenders to have this prior to making any payments further from the deposit payment. We send them through to the lender and then basically the lender is ready to start making the rest of the payments. You'll then come to the base stage payment, or some people refer to it as the slab stage payment. So what that actually is once you actually have a slab on your property, you're invoiced for that, and at this stage, if you're eligible for the first homeowner's grant, this is actually paid towards that invoice for you. We actually complete the first homeowner's application for you. So it's this document here. It's 15 pages. This has to be submitted to the Office of State Revenue for approval. Clients have to sign it and also provide ID, so the ID has to be certified. With the application for the first homeowners grant, this obviously is dependent on the grants that are made available from the government. So as at today, May 2019, this is something that is offered to first homeowners. To be eligible for a first homeowners grant, it's got to be a brand new dwelling that's never been lived in before, or a property that you're building. The funds are released from the Office of State Revenue to the lender. The lender then pays the portion being the approved amount at that time, depending on what the government is offering, is then paid directly to the base invoice, directly to the builder. Then the lender will actually pay the balance of the invoice directly to the builder from the loan fund, so from the client's loan funds. Each stage, clients will be invoiced. Now, at one stage throughout the build, the lenders do send out a valuer to confirm that the work is complete to that particular stage. So it is actually the client's responsibility. So when these invoices are received, clients need to be aware and need to confirm that all the work is complete up until the time it's invoiced. You don't want to be paying for any work that's not been complete. Now, the reason it is your responsibility is because you're being invoiced these invoices for particular stages to be complete. All of these stages are listed in your contract as well. So it's listed in your contract what needs to be complete for each stage. So you just need to, one, double check your contract and also just pop by the actual property to make sure if you've got the frame invoice, you just go by and make sure that the frame is actually up. You know what's happening on your property, you know what stages you're up to, and you can even have a chat to the site supervisor if you're not sure, just to make sure that you're not paying for something that's not actually been complete as yet. All of these stages are listed in your contract as well, so they're clearly marked. So sometimes they're marked stage 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and so on. Other times they are marked as the actual stages, so you've got your deposit, your base, your frame, etc. In Marlette and Brendan's case, they have actually been sending through pictures of each stage that they are being invoiced for. which is brilliant because we like to see the progress as well. We've worked through this journey with you guys, so it's really, really lovely to see something go from just a block of land to it being cut out to slab to frame and so on and so on. So with the actual authorities, as I said, you just need to have the invoices signed off, and that's the authority for the bank to release funds on your behalf. Then for each stage, it works exactly the same. Depending on when the valuer does come out to the property will determine when that stage of the valuation is complete, but in most times we're not actually alerted to it. It just actually happens in the background and the progress payment is paid accordingly. Now, as you get closer to the final stages of your build, the final invoice processing time is a little bit different, just purely because the valuer needs to go out there and confirm that the property is 100% complete to the contract, the original contract, and if there's any variations along the way. I do inform our clients to send me through all documentation that's received from the builder. Just throughout the process, there might be some things that you receive that you think, oh, the bank's not going to need them. In essence, everything that's received from the builder should be sent through to the actual lender. Bearing in mind, the valuer completes the final valuation based on the original contract, which is a paper-based contract, any variations that are complete, and then they get their 100% completion from that. There are a couple methods to have the final invoice paid. You can either choose to transfer the funds via EFT, which is how all of the invoices are paid throughout the progress of the actual build, or you can elect to actually collect a bank cheque, being that the lenders permit this. Coming into a handover stage as well, we do need to allow that little bit of extra time to have the valuation complete. So your standard processing time, as I mentioned before, was 3 to 7 business days, depending on how busy the bank is to make those payments for you. With the final stage, because there's a third party being the valuer involved, it usually is a minimum 10-day business turnaround time. We do need to allow enough time for you to get your final invoice, provide the information that's required, which is usually confirmation if you want the bank cheque to be collected, a copy of your building insurance, because you need to show that then you have insurance for the property, because your builder's insurance is then going to be null and void once your actual handover is complete. The valuation is then complete, and that report is then sent back to the lender to make the full payment, given that the valuation comes back as 100% complete. If the valuation doesn't come back as 100% complete, and this also does come down to the client's responsibility, you need to make sure that the final invoice is only sent through when the property is ready to be valued. We will be back with part 3, which essentially for Brennan Marlette is going to be the handover stage and everything that's involved in that, for making them have their nice smooth handover and make sure they're in their property by the set out date from the builder. Thanks very much. Bye now.